Hello and welcome back to the Battle Room. My name is Colin, and today I want to share with you 5 rental teams that I've been using and have built myself for this new Series 12 format. Obviously, Series 12 started yesterday, so there's a lot of hype around it, and I wanted to give you 5 teams that I've used, tested, and they're all use different restricteds in different ways. And I thought it'd just be a great way to start off Series 12 is just give out 5 teams that I've used in various online tours before the series officially started. So let's get into this first one here. It's a pretty simple team. It's mainly consisting around Calyrex plus Kyogre. The main idea here is to set up Trick Room and then set up boost for Kyogre with your Calyrex. It's a pretty simple team. I would almost argue that it's pretty close to hard Trick Room. Kyogre and Calyrex work really well. You can max Quake and max Steel Spike and set up Calm Minds, and Kyogre basically becomes unkillable. It's a really fun idea and a really fun team. Primarily, you just set up Trick Room with Mimikyu because Mimikyu is almost impossible to KO, and that's basically the gist of the team. Zapdos is there to add a second mode, but I found this team to be rather clunky. I don't really like Calyrex Kyogre after testing it. I still think it's a great team to start playing the format with. I'd recommend this one first, to be honest, and that's why it's the first one in the video. But I think it's just a fun team that lets you really start to feel how the format shifts and moves, and it's a pretty easy team to play for the most part. When to bring Zapdos is a little bit iffy sometimes. Primarily it's in the mirror, but I think Zapdos does add another mode and helps it a little bit. If you wanted to use it in a best of 3, Zapdos is fantastic. But I think it's a pretty simple team. Set up Trick Room, sweep with Calyrex, make Kyogre unkillable. Pretty simple stuff. Let's go to the next one. So this was the second team I built, and I do know a lot of players have actually built the same 6. It's a very simple team as well. The idea that I came up with was I wanted to use Colossus because I thought Colossus was pretty cool, and I thought a lot of players weren't really utilizing rocks at this moment. So I was like, hey, let's make Colossus work. So I started with their Shifu and Colossal, and then I slapped on 2 restricteds who don't necessarily need to max, and then 2 supports. Primarily, you're going to bring Colossal or Shifu plus the 2 restricteds, or you're going to bring Instant Rillaboom plus the 2 restricteds. Sometimes there's Shifu instead of one of the 2 fake outers with the restricteds. It's a pretty simple team, but I think there's a lot of depth that can be gained from this. We've seen this team talk up tours. It's not like my version, but other players have used the same 6 to very huge success. I came up with the 6 pretty quickly, and I think that it's a very strong, potent 6, and it's a very simple team, but I think it's a really fun way to use Colossal, and also to get your, wrap your head around Yveltal and Zation a little bit. I think it's a good early start. I think the team's really fun. This was the team that I started playing Yveltal with, and I fell in love instantly. I didn't really love the Colossal part, but I think it's a very threatening idea in team preview. But once I started using Yveltal, baby, it became my favorite restricted. It also lets you use Zation, which I think is a great mod to test as well. But I think this team is rather fun. Pretty good team. It's very simple. It gets the job done. It's a very good team. But yeah, let's go to the next one. This one, I don't have much to say about this team. So the next team I built was a little bit different. I thought Gastron was really strong at this point, and I wanted to also test out Solgaleo. And I loved Yveltal already, so I wanted to combine all of my ideas into one, and I ended up making this. I think it's a really fun team. It really lets you see the strength of Yveltal because you can stack boosts on it. You have great yawn partners, great setup with Grimmsnarl. It's just a really good way to start using Yveltal. Personally, I like Yveltalzation a little bit more, but I think this team is fantastic. If you would like Yveltalzation, I have a team in the description. It's JoeX9's team. Go check him out below. I just think his team's really great, and it's a great way to practice the format as well. If you like Yveltalzation, I don't have that for you, unfortunately. But I think Solgaleo is really fun as well. I think Solgaleo and Yveltal is really fun. I think Gastron is really strong in this format. It's a great way to test it out. Grimmsnarl is great. Zapdos is great. Entei is great. It's just a fun team. Ideally, you want to set up Solgaleo with Bulldoze if possible. But for the most part, you don't even need that. It's about making the partners unkillable, making Entei unkillable if you're fighting Zation, making Yveltal unkillable if you're fighting anything. It just goes crazy hard. Making Gastron a yawn unkillable demon. But I think this team is really fun, and I think Solgaleo does add a nice little mix to the team, just because I think Solgaleo, the partners do benefit from actually having Solgaleo. Maxing that thing is so potent in this format. I don't know how I feel about Yveltal Solgaleo fully. I did enjoy it quite a lot when I used it, and this is probably one of my favorites. But I do think that Zation might just be better with Yveltal. But I do like maxing Solgaleo a lot and making Yveltal unkillable. That is the best perk of Solgaleo. But I think it's a really fun team. It has 2 good max partners, and I think it's a pretty fun time. It really lets you get into the meat of how good Yveltal can be. Alright, let's go to the next one. So with this team, I wanted to build a pretty standard Sun team, but I wanted to use Keller Shadow as well. So I built this team around Calyrex plus Groudon. I thought like being able to max Calyrex would be really good with Groudon. Having Sun with Venusaur is great, and then having a Trick Room mode is great. There's just a lot of good mons here. Primarily with this team, you're going to be maxing Calyrex or Thundurus, and then you're just trying to sweep with Groudon, and Venusaur is just there to be annoying. Basically, the other three are just annoying. Porygon, Instant, and Venusaur are annoying. So I think this team is pretty simple. It gives you a lot to play with and move around. The pieces are really great. I would argue that maybe like Sash Calyrex could be better, because I think Sash Calyrex is so potent and so good at the current moment. It lets it play around Yveltal a little bit easier. But this one was mainly built around getting defense drops for Thundurus or Groudon. I think it's still a lot of fun. And yeah, I think it's a pretty simple Sun team. It gives you so many options. You got Chlorophyll, you got Trick Room, you got Fake Out, you got Airstream, you got defense drops, and you got a Swords Dancing Groudon. What's not to love here? It's a really simple team. And the team I think is very fun, especially if you want to get into Sun, or if you think that like Groudon might be your guy for this format. I think this is a good start, and I think moving more towards Charizard and stuff like that could be an option, but I thought this is a great start for any Groudon team. So yeah, I really enjoyed this team when I used it. And last but not least, we've got Zation Kyogre. I wanted to do a little bit of a different take on Zation Kyogre, because I think Zation Kyogre is absolutely insane right now. It's probably the best restricted duo, so I wanted to make sure to include it in this these rental teams. So this one's mainly a more aggressive version. I think there's a lot of different ways you can run this 6, but I think Zation Kyogre Tailwind Zapdos is really fun. It gives you a great max candidate in Zapdos. It gives you a fun, easy way to play the game with Whimsicott, and it just lets you spam Water Spouts and Behemoth Blades to your heart's content. I think it's a very fun team. There's nothing too crazy here. It's pretty standard stuff. I added Indeedee in the last slot. I really like Indeedee here. The idea of Indeedee plus Whims and Kyogre and Zation sounds really annoying, and being able to shut down Rillaboom is always great. So yeah, I think Rillaboom is unbringable versus team, to be honest. But I think it's a really fun team. Swordfish is very strong. Zation plus Kyogre is just a great combo. And I think this is a great place to start. I think all the teams are really good starting points, and I think they're all pretty solid teams like you can start to test on ladder. I think they're really fun and pretty educational. This is a pretty short video, but I wanted to just, give you guys teams to start out with. I think it's a great way to start the season. I've tested and used all of these in online tours, as I've mentioned. So I think it's just a really fun set of teams I built, and I'm proud of them. I want to show them off a little bit and give you guys some resources so you can start playing on ladder before you can make your own teams in game. Obviously, I will still be uploading teams, uploading battles, stuff like that, but I wanted to give you guys a good head start. And if these teams are not your cup of tea, I'm going to be using other restricteds, and I'll be using other legendaries as well. But yeah, I don't think they're too crazy teams, but I think they're pretty solid teams. But yeah, that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to give you guys teams. This is mainly for me to you, and I had a fun time making these teams and playing with them, and I hope you do too. Let me know in the comments which one's your favorite, or what other restricteds you think are pretty strong. I'm looking forward to just testing out all these restricteds and really getting into the meat of this meta game, because we're going to be playing it for like 7 months. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great and amazing day. I love you all. Have a nice one. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.